Hey guys, so today we're going to do something a little bit different and talk about futsal. My U8s just finished up their fall season, and over the winter we are going to get into playing futsal. And it's really a great bridge between the fall and spring soccer seasons in the youth game. So I wanted to do this as an introduction to them, but also for the coaches watching on YouTube here. This is an explanation of how I use futsal and how I relate it back to my youth soccer teams. So let's go. The futsal ball is smaller and more dense in terms of the materials that are used to make it. Therefore, it will bounce less. And what this means is trapping the ball is actually easier. In fact, you can use the sole of your foot quite a bit more to manipulate the ball than you necessarily would in a soccer match. The other consideration is because of the density of the ball, typically you have to strike it harder with passing and shooting than you would in soccer.
So the court in futsal is a hard court. It is oftentimes even a basketball court that has been converted with some goals on either side. It's smaller, which again makes for more compact, quicker decision making. It's played 5 against 5 versus 7v7. So let's go ahead and take a look at where some of the important landmarks are. Just right away you can see both goals on each side. The penalty areas here are half circles. So again, the penalty area in a soccer pitch would be the 18-yard box. Here, unfortunately, it's a little bit smaller than that, but it's an area where you're going to see a lot of passes, hopefully behind to the goalkeeper. And again, the penalty area is where the goalkeeper could use their hands, assuming that the ball was not passed back by our own team. The penalty spots are right at the top of the penalty area. This is where you take penalty kicks from. There are spots just behind here, which are actually called the second penalty spot. We won't really need to be worried about that. That has to do with if another team got too many fouls for a certain half. But at youth futsal, that's usually not an issue. You have, again, the touch lines and the goal lines. So there's a couple of different things here. If the ball goes out of the touch line in soccer, it's a throw-in. In futsal, it is always a kick-in. So that's a really important differentiator. And you can just like in soccer, you can do when you do throw-ins anytime you want. You can kick the ball back in as soon as possible, whenever you want. You don't have to wait on anything. The goal lines are here and here on these sides. If the ball goes out and it was touched by the other team and it goes out on our side, this is a goal throw. So there's actually no goal kicks here. You're actually going to be rolling it out to one of our guys each time, which I'll get into in just a second.
Because futsal is played on a hard court, we will be using indoor cleats, either indoor flat soccer cleats or tennis shoes. This is how we are going to set ourselves up to play futsal. And I wanted to show this side-by-side comparison of how we play our 7v7 and how we play futsal. Because as I mentioned before, we use futsal to help us play outdoor soccer. We use it as a bridge. We use it as a tool of development. So you can see on the left, we have our 2-3-1 or our 1-2-3-1 shape with our two center backs, our central midfielder, our wide midfielders, and our striker. That will be replicated to some degree on the futsal court. The way that we're going to play futsal is with obviously our goalkeeper, as you can see. We play with two what they call wings. So what we've done here is taken our center back and our outside midfielder and sort of combined them into one position. We have the central midfielder, which in futsal is called the fix. We're just going to keep the terminology the same for the boys because that's really going to be best. So we have our center midfielder and we have our striker. So you can see we've replicated and we still have this diamond in our back line with the two wide players in futsal, the two wings, the center midfielder, and the goalkeeper.
So I have us set up here on a full court, and as you can see, we are the blue team, and I'm going to be talking about just some general attacking principles here. We will have another video that will talk specifically about our attacking patterns of play in futsal, which actually mirror the attacking patterns that we use in soccer. But you can see we have our goalkeeper, we have our two wings, we have our central midfielder, and our striker. Now, these are going to be goal throws if we're starting off with our keeper here having the ball. Remember, there's no goal kicks. I have set up the defenders in what will likely be our most common formation that gets played against us, which is a 2-2. It may be another formation. It really doesn't matter because what I'm talking about here are just general principles. So what we're going to do is the same thing we do in our 7v7, in our soccer, is the ball will get played from our keeper, typically out wide. It usually will not go to the center midfielder. Now, if for whatever reason they decide to press up high like this, it very well may go into our center midfielder. But right now I just want to talk about what would happen in terms of the most common scenarios. Okay, so let me just go ahead and set this back up. Okay, so as the ball comes out wide, and again, like I said, the ball will go out wide most of the time, it is extremely important that the keeper come out here and support to be an option. More so than even in soccer, we will be using our goalkeeper quite a bit during futsal. Now, it's also important they don't come out too far, right? We don't need the goalkeeper out here. We just need them to show back for support. The central midfielder is going to have to make a decision. They either have to come out here to be an option, or they have to see what's happening here. If this guy starts closing it off here, he may need to come up. Or potentially, if he's here, he may just have to come down into here. It's really going to be a situation of figuring out how they're pressing us, right? More than likely, the central midfielder will need to come down into this area to be an option here. And that will force this guy to have to make a decision. He has to either come out here or he has to kind of play both. As the ball comes out wide here, if you are the wing on the other side, just like as we play soccer, you have to cinch over. Okay, this is something that that we don't do a ton of in our outdoor. But if you're the striker here, you have to start cinching over, and then think about making this run here. Okay, so this is going to get closed off very quickly in futsal. All right, and it's going to be dangerous. Now, we're going to encourage you to go 1v1, and if you beat this guy 1v1, that's great. But what's going to be better is quick passing. So if this guy comes in and the striker can come down, we can get that ball out here and we can get out. And that will be part of the patterns that we talk about. But I know that in our 7v7, there's already a wide player out here for the center back. So our striker is encouraged to come out a little bit, but not to get all the way wide. In futsal, that'll be a little bit different. If you see an opening and you're our striker, you can come into this space to get this ball. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that this gets closed off and the ball starts to come through here. So this is no different than when we switch in 7v7 soccer. When we make a switch, our wing on that side has to get back wide. The center midfielder just needs to sort of stay where they are, and oftentimes this is going to be the play. So oftentimes this ball will get caught here, and there'll be a ton of pressure here. The ball will go right back to the keeper and then right back to our central midfielder, and we're out and gone into that space. So let's go ahead and reset. All right, so ball comes up through here, it gets closed off. Let's say the ball gets played into our central midfielder here, and we start to move the ball forward, okay? Now, what has to happen in this situation is the wing that's on the side of the ball has to go with the play, all right? The our striker will be in through here looking for balls, looking for it played out. And once you see he's available, man, you can play that ball in. Remember, there's no offsides in futsal. But if we're playing a good team, they should be defending us like this, right? You should be, again, just like in soccer, dribbling into your space, taking your space until you are confronted, until somebody tries to engage you. And in that situation, again, the wing on the side that we're going, now he's kind of in the middle of the field, but he's a little bit closer to this wing, needs to go. The wing on the opposite side has to stay back and cinch in and defend, okay, in case we were to lose the ball. What we can't have is this, okay? We can't have everybody forward, because now if something happens and we lose the ball here, we're in a big trouble, all right? So guys, this was just I wanted to do a brief introduction on futsal, give you the rules, give you the differences between soccer and futsal, and then just slightly get into our shape and kind of what we're trying to do with the ball. And like I said, we're going to do a couple videos on patterns of play in futsal, or one video on patterns of play in futsal, and then we're going to do a video on how we're going to defend. So feel free to ask me questions in the comments or reach out to me at training. Thanks, everybody.